Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is HANNA ISTIVARATI from Class 2A Math Education University of Singaperbangsa, Karawang. This time the video content is about motivational speech mathematics, and I will change this video with my voice, so check this out. "26%. On the nation's report card, that's the percentage of U.S. 12th graders who are proficient in math. In America, we pride ourselves as being an exceptional country, but does 26% sound exceptional to you? Raise your hand if you think as a country we need to do way better than this. I'm with you. We all need math, but why are so many kids confused by it? Is it because only 26% people are hardwired for math, while 74% are not? After working with thousands of kids, I can tell you this isn't the case at all. Kids don't understand math because we've been teaching it as a humanized subject. But if we make math human again, it will start to make sense again. You're probably wondering, how was math ever human in the first place? So think about it. Math is a human language, just like English, Spanish, or Chinese, because it allows people to communicate with each other. Even in ancient times, people need the language of math to conduct trade, to build monuments, and to measure the land for farming. This idea of math as a language isn't exactly new. A great philosopher once said, "The laws of nature are written in the language of mathematics." So you see, even Galileo agrees with me. But somewhere along the line, we've taken this language of math, which is about the real world around us, and we abstract it beyond recognition. And that's why kids are confused. Let me show you what I mean. Read this third grade California math standard and see it will make sense to an 8-year-old. Understand the fraction 1 over b as a quantity formed by one part when a whole is partitioned into b equal parts. Understand the fraction a over b as the quantity formed by a part of size 1 over b. And if you give this description to an 8-year-old, you'll probably get a reaction like this. To math experts, this standard makes sense. But to a kid, it's absolute torture. I choose this example specifically because fractions are foundational to algebra, trigonometry, and even calculus. So if kids don't understand fraction in elementary and middle school, they have a tall road ahead of them in high school. But is this their way to make fractions simple and easy for kids to understand? Yes. Just remember that math is a language and use that to your advantage. For example, when I teach 5th graders how to add and subtract fraction, I start with the apples plus apples lesson. Where I ask, what's 1 apple plus 1 apple? And kids will often say 2, which is partially correct. Have them include the word as well since math is a language. So it's not just 2, it's 2 apples. Next is 3 pencils plus 2 pencils. You all know that pencil plus pencil give you pencils. So everyone, how many pencils? 5 pencils is right. And the key is you include the words. I tried this lesson with my 5-year-old niece once. After she had pencils and pencils, I asked her, what's 4 billion plus 1 billion? And my aunt overheard this and she scolded me and said, "Are you crazy since kindergarten? How is she supposed to know 4 billion plus 1 billion? Undoubted, my niece finishes counting, look up and says, 5 billion? And I said, that's right, it's 5 billion. My aunt just shook her head out because she did not expect that from a 5-year-old. But all you have to do is take a language approach and math becomes intuitive and easy to understand. Then I asked her a question that kindergartners are definitely not supposed to know. What's 1/3 plus 1/3? And immediately she answered, 2/3. So if you're wondering, how could she possibly know that when she used the overbearings and numerators yet? You see, she wasn't thinking about numerators and denominators. She thought of the problem this way. And she used the apple plus 1 apple as her analogy to understand 1/3 plus 1/3. So if even a kindergartner can add fraction, you better believe that every 5th grader can do it as well. Just for fun, I asked her a high school algebra question. Was 7x squared plus 2x squared? And this little 5-year-old girl correctly answered 9x squared. And she didn't need any exponent rules to figure that out. So when people say that we are hardwired for math or not, it's not true. Math is a human language, so we all have the ability to understand it. We need to take the language approach to math intentionally because too many kids are lost and are anxious about math, and it doesn't have to be that way. I worked with an angry, frustrated high school student once who couldn't pass algebra because she only knew 44% of her multiplication fact. I told her, that's like trying to read and only know 44% of the alphabet is holding you back. She couldn't factor or solve equations and she had no confidence in math. As a result, this teenager had no confidence in herself. I told her, you have to start with multiplication because once you know all your facts by heart, everything gets easier. It'll be like having a fast pass to every ride of Disneyland. What do you think? And she said, okay. So she systematically learned her times table in 4 weeks, and yes, even multiplication has language embedded in it. You'd be surprised how many kids don't realize 7 times 3 can be spelled out as 7 times 3, which just means 3 7 times, just like this. So when kids see it this way, they quickly realize that repeat addition is slow and inconvenient, so they gladly memorize that 3 7 times always give you 21. So for this teenager who is at risk of dropping out, becoming fluent and confident in multiplication was a game changer. Because for the first time, she could focus on problem solving instead of counting on her fingers. I knew she had turned to the corner when she figured out that a 2-year card lease at $445 a month would cost you $10,680. And she looked at me disapprovingly and said, Mr. Polisok, that's expensive. At that moment, math was no longer causing problem for her, but she was using math to solve problem as a responsible adult would. As an educator, it's my duty to challenge kids to reach higher. So I leave you with this challenge. Our country is stuck at 26% proficiency, and I challenge you to push that number higher. This is important because mathematical thinking not only builds young minds, but our kids need it to imagine and build a future that doesn't detest it. Meeting this challenge can be as simple as apples plus apples. It is that we teach math as a human language, and we will get there sooner rather than later. Thank you. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. See you soon. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.